Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I apologize for the little bit of noise going on in the background, but I started printing out the draft of my book, or it's the finished version of the book, but it's copy, and it's 400 pages, so it's taking a little longer to print than I thought it would. Hey, Elena, good to see you, girl. Wow, it's been a long time. How are you? What have you been up to? Yeah, let me know. Comment. So today I was thinking, I was praying, I was like in meditation, I was saying, okay, what do I want to talk about today? And thank you for the hearts. And I said, you know what, there's a concept that came up for me. It's something I learned years ago, actually, that's been really helpful for me in my life. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it can be helpful for you. Oftentimes, and it's about the trust and the nature of trust, right? If you've ever been like, oh, I trusted this person and they did me wrong, or, people might say, well, I have issues with trust, my trust has been violated. There's all kinds of things like that happen with us in trust. Hey, Yasmin. Hey, Markin. And I remember that I used to feel this way quite a bit about trust and about the nature of trust. I was like, oh, well, I trusted this person was going to do this, and then they didn't do it, right? Or I had a friend who she's always late, basically, right? She's like, I'm going to be there, I'll be on time, I promise. And she's late, right? I had someone else, that I was dating, and they would say that they were going to call and they wouldn't, or they would like make an appointment or date and they would cancel, right? Hey, Luxar. Hey, Ashley. Good to see you. And of course, in other much deeper ways, foundationally, my trust was violated when I was younger with people teaching beliefs and so on that were not necessarily true. So there was ways in which I was like, wow, do I have issues with trust? And then actually, I discovered something really critical to this. I said, sorry for coming late yesterday. That's okay. You can go back and rewatch it, so then you can still see what's going on. All right. So what is this trust? When we feel like we can't trust people, or we feel like we trust people and they let us down. There was something really interesting that I discovered. It was a teaching, and I can't remember exactly where it was from, but it said that you need to trust a person to be who they are, not who you think they are or who you think they should be. So often we trust people based on our own sense of how someone should behave, or we try to trust them, right? We are like, okay, well, I'm somebody, I keep my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, okay? And so when I try to trust someone else to do that, there we go. Now it's finally done, so it's quieter. Oh, good. You already watched it. Great. So the concept here is that if I am trying to trust someone to do something that is in my standard, right? I'm like, okay, well, I'm always on time. So, you should be on time. And if you say you're going to be on time, then I expect you to be on time. And if you're not on time, then, you violated that my trust. You're not worthy of my trust because you said you would be on time and you weren't on time, right? Or you said you were going to take care of this or do this and you didn't do it, right? So then that starts to say, okay, well, now you violated my trust. But is that really the right standard, right? Because if we keep doing that standard, we're going to be like, out of trust really, really fast. So what this person said was, don't trust people to be who they are. Not who you think they should be, and not even who they say they are, not even who they say they can be. That is just totally different. It's a totally different ballgame, right? So taking my girlfriend, she is consistently late. She is late to everything. And I don't mean a little late. I don't mean 10 minutes late. I mean 2 hours late, okay? If she's an hour late, you are lucky. She is consistently late to everything. This is just who she is. So after knowing her for some time and seeing this behavior, if I say to her, show up at 10 o'clock, and she says, yeah, I'll be there, and then she shows up at 11:30, right? And then I could be like, well, I'm so angry, you violated my trust, right? I can't trust you to show up on time. But really, that kind of was my fault, right? See, because I know who she is. I can observe who she is. I observe her to be somebody who is consistently late. So if I'm trying to trust her to be someone she's not, right? Then what am I doing? That's totally dumb. Trust someone to be who they are, and they show who they are by their actions, not by their words. That's when you can actually trust someone. And then your trust is not being violated all the time. And you're not deceiving yourself, right? Because you're the one that's doing that to yourself because you're trying to trust someone to live up to some standard that you're imposing or that you think is right, but that may not be their standard and it may not be who they are. And what used to really get me was because the person would tell me, oh, I'll change and I'll show up or I'll call, right? And they would tell me that they would do this stuff. So they obviously wanted to do something different, but then, after a time or two, they'd revert back to their habit. So what did this mean with this girlfriend? Basically, it meant that if we were going to meet up with each other, I didn't worry about being on time. I would show up late and I would bring a book. I would bring something to do. So if I was like, hey, we're meeting at this cafe at this time, I would know, like, she's not going to be there anywhere close to that time. So I'm going to bring a book. I'll bring something to do. I'll just hang out and, do something while I'm waiting. So, and that because it's my choice to stay in a relationship with her because she's got lots of other great qualities. She's a beautiful person and I love her. So I can choose to stay in the relationship with her, right? And, but I have to manage my expectations based on who I know she is, instead of trying to trust her to be something different than she is. See, it's crazy, right? And we do this all the time. If someone is forgetful and you're trying to get your spouse to go get something from the store and you're like, oh, I told you and you said you were going to do it, right? But you know that this person is just like that. You know that they're absent-minded professor. You know that they forget everything. You're trying to trust them to be somebody they aren't. How is that going to work for you, right? It's just going to constantly be violating your standards. And you're doing them a real disservice as well, right? Because you are making them bad for something that you already know isn't true. You already know it's not going to happen. So trust a person to be who they are. And you know who they are by observing who they are, not by their words, not by your own expectations, but by observing who they are. And when you see who they are, and you don't judge it, oftentimes we cannot see who a person really is because we judge those things about them. We judge certain behaviors as bad. Hey, Briesh. Hi, Maria. Elena says, this is great. Good. Thank you. I'm so happy to see you, Elena. So we judge, when we think a certain behavior is bad and we have a judgment on that behavior, that can block us from observing it accurately in somebody we like. Okay. So if I have a judgment on being late, then I'm going to say, okay, well, this person is really late. They just are late, right? If I have a judgment on cheating, right, then I may not want to observe that the person that I'm with or the person that I'm friends with or whatever, that they are, that their actions show them to be a cheater. And so because I'm trying to blind myself because I think, well, that's a bad thing, right? I don't want to see that about them. Then I can deceive myself and then I can't truly see them for who they are and then be able to trust them to be who they are. You see? So this is a really critical way in which our judgments about certain things, whether we think they're good or bad, can also blind us from seeing people clearly. So that we can, but if we can get rid of that judgment and we can just say, look, this is their choice. That's who they are. This is something to do with their upbringing, with their personality, whatever that is. They're messy. If I try to, insist, I think that, that messiness is bad and that you need to have a place for everything and everything in its place. But I try to insist that, then maybe I won't go into that relationship being able to observe that. And I'll be, oh, it'll fix that. Oh, that's just temporary. Oh, I'm sure I can get them to like pick up later, right? Right? Wives do this all the time, don't they? Instead of being like, okay, I see this person drop stuff everywhere. All right. Now I may have a thing against it, but I just need to observe it first. And then if I choose to be in a relationship with that person, I have to know I'm choosing to be in a relationship with somebody who is messy, who is going to be dropping things everywhere. And if I go into that and I try to say, well, I told you and you promised you were going to pick up and now you're not picking up, right? Then I'm going into that same thing. I'm trying to trust them to be someone different than they are and to live according to a different set of standards than who they are. So of course, my trust is going to be violated constantly if that is the case, right? And then I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be resentful. I'm going to be frustrated, and I'm going to, attack them, see, and destroy the relationship. Luxar, thank you for the hearts. So this is something that I discovered that helped me realize, like, wow, okay, I don't have to have trust issues. You see, I don't have to have trust issues. I don't have to be like, oh, well, I just really have a hard time trusting people. No, if I can observe them clearly, remove the judgments around those different types of behaviors, and then just say, okay, I see this person is this kind of person. They do this, this, and this. I'm going to trust that that's what they're going to do. And I need to modify my behavior accordingly, not their behavior. I got to modify my behavior. If I choose to be in a relationship with them, I have to trust that this is who they are. They're going to keep doing that. And I have to put in place things that make it easier for me to deal with it, right? Like when I meet my girlfriend who's always late, I show up late and I bring something to do. Okay. So I'm not mad about it. That's an example of that, right? And that's how we can shift that relationship, right? And shift that relationship, and we can come into relationships with trust, because we're actually trusting them for the right thing instead of trying to build up trust in what we kind of know is a lie, right? So really we're doing it to ourselves. And that's the weird thing. See? All right. Well, I hope that was helpful. I hope that's helpful in your relationship. Say, Luxar, yes, it is pretty funny, right? It is pretty funny what we do to ourselves and how we destroy our own trust by trying to trust people to be something they're not. And that's just silly, right? Okay, well, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Aw, thank you, Elena. I'm so glad you came on. Thank you, Luxar. I hope you have an enjoyable day. And so if you guys have some experiences with this, I'd love to hear about them. Post it. If you have examples of this kind of thing, it's always fun to have more examples of it. Okay. So be sure to post or ask questions, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.